We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India.
Friends, today in this lecture we are going to study about two major types of transistors which are well known, PNP and NPN. These transistors are known as bipolar junction transistors. So why these PNP and NPN transistors are also known as bipolar junction transistors or BJT? So due to two types of polarity materials have been fabricated inside these particular transistors, like positive pole and negative pole have been utilized to construct such transistors, and that's why these PNP and NPN transistors are also known as bipolar junction transistors. In the diode tutorials, we show that in the earlier lecture we show that the simple diodes are made up from two pieces of semiconductor material, either silicon or germanium, to form a simple PN junction. So the simple PN junction can be formed by two pieces of semiconductor material where one pole has majority charge carriers as hole and the another pole has the majority charge carriers as electron. If we now join together two individual signal diodes back to back, this will give us two PN junctions connected together in series that share a common P or common N terminal. So we are combining two different PN junctions with a proper signal diode contact, so we will have one common P terminal and another common N terminal on two non-identical sides. The fusion of these two diodes produces a 3-layer, 2-junction, 3-terminal devices. So this is important. A 3-layer means what? PNP or NPN. So these are the 3 layers of PNP and NPN transistor respectively. 2-junction, there will be initial or input and output junctions will be there. 3-terminal device, 3 terminals will be discussed later on. These 3 terminals where one terminal is collecting the electric current, one is the base which is generating or passing the electric current through collector and emitter, and the emitter terminal is emitting the remaining part or the remaining portion of the electric current throughout the transistor. So this type of device forming the basis of bipolar transistor or BJT for short. Transistors, we will see the definition of transistor, are 3-terminal active devices made from different semiconductor materials that can act as either an insulator or a conductor by the application of a small signal voltage. So why a particular transistor which has been fabricated from different materials can be also worked as insulator or as a conductor? So remember, when you have input and output junction as holes, so that will be work as an insulator, and when you have input and output junction as majority charge carrier electrons, you will have the behavior of transistor as a conducting material. The bipolar transistor basic construction consists of two PN junction producing 3 connecting terminals, with each terminal being given a name to identify it from the other 2, and these 3 terminals are known and labeled as the emitter, the base and the collector. They are symbolically represented as E, B and C respectively. Major 2 types of bipolar junction transistors are classified on basis of the structural arrangement of N and P type semiconductors. So first of all we will see the construction and schematic of PNP transistor. Here you can see the P material. After that, N type of semiconductor material has been used in the middle, which is comprised of input and output P type of materials, where N type of material acts as a base. The one hand of P type material acts as an emitter, and another end of P type of material acts as a collector. Now, this base has flow of electric current is IB. This VBE is your base to emitter voltage, which is flowing from this particular junction. We can name this junction as number 1 and this as the junction number 2. Now, the flow of electric current passing from this voltage source VBE is current IE, where is emitter current, which is flowing towards the P-type material, and the base current is approaching the voltage source. So this is the circulation of the first junction. Now we will talking in terms of the second junction, where collector to base voltage has been introduced, where current IB is approaching towards it, and again the collector IC is also approaching towards the VCB voltage source. So this is the PNP transistors, where the middle portion is fabricated with N type of materials and the consecutive sides are fabricated with P type of semiconductor material. Now, the target of the present study is to identify the collector current. So here you can see, if this is your collector current, then we have to give the algebraic summation for emitter and base current. So IC is equal to IE minus IB, because IE is approaching towards the transistor and IB is leaving the junction of the transistor. So collector current is the emitter current minus base current. This is the circuit symbol, or you can say schematic, for PNP junction transistor, where base, collector and emitter. Now when you have to identify the symbol of PNP transistor, the current is approaching towards the emitter to base. So this is the arrow important for the schematic representation of PNP transistor. Here the base current is approaching towards capital B. The voltage flowing across base to emitter is VBE. The current flowing from the emitter is IE. The current across collector to emitter, now see, the polarity is also important, and that's why positive and negative signs has also been introduced in this particular schematic, that is VCE, and collector current is also approaching towards the collector. So base to collector current voltage source has also been introduced, and hence the schematic and construction of PNP transistor you can easily carry out from this figure. It is not necessary that you should mention the sign of IB, IE and IC, but the major thing important in this particular circuit symbol, that you must interpret the sign of emitter to base voltage. This is very important. Now this was all about the PNP transistor. Similar to that, we will see the another type of the bipolar junction transistor, which is NPN transistor. So here the center is fabricated with P type of materials and the remaining consecutive sides are constructed with N type of materials. So here your P type semiconductor material will act as a base of the transistor, and the consecutive sides, the left hand side will work as an emitter and the right hand side will work as a collector. So in this particular junction, base to emitter junction, this is junction number 1 and this is junction number 2. So base to emitter voltage source has been applied, and here you can see the difference in the sign, where the IB current was leaving the junction and here IB current is, that means base current is approaching the junction, and contrary to that the emitter current is again leaving the junction. So on the another junction, junction number 2, collector to base voltage source has been attached, where you can see the current is again different. The collector current sign is now has been modified towards the junction, and here we will also see the collector current equation is totally opposite to this. That means in PNP transistor we can calculate the current as IE minus IB, whereas for NPN transistor we can identify it as IB minus IE. That is total opposite to that of PNP transistor. Now the schematic is very similar to that of PNP transistor, just the major difference is the current is traveling from base to emitter. Instead of emitter to base, now we have base to emitter series connection, and the collector sign is also modified. So this is about the NPN transistor, where VBE is your base to emitter voltage, VCB is the collector to base voltage, IB is the base current, VCE is collector to emitter voltage, IC is the collector current, and IE is your emitter current. So this way two different questions can be asked from this article. Explain the construction and working of PNP or NPN bipolar junction transistors. So you have to plot both these figures in your answer sheet to get full marks in view of your GTU examination. So I hope that you all are aware with this basic construction and operational mechanisms of PNP and NPN transistors, which has been fabricated by just use of two different kinds of non-identical semiconductors. So if you have any doubts, post your queries in the comment section, and thanks for visiting this lecture.